name is Lauren Donald, and I am just one of the 7 million people around the world with cerebral palsy. I am doing this documentary to raise awareness of the struggles people with cerebral palsy face on a daily basis in general life and in the entertainment and hospitality industry. I will be raising awareness of these issues by interviewing a range of different people, including a journalist, my friends, my teachers, the people that help me access my education, such as my MSAs. But as well as this, I will also be talking about my own experiences. So, would you say I was quite independent?
Yes, I would say you were quite independent.
Yeah, as much as you can be.
Do you think I cope with my disability well?
I think you cope pretty well.
So, in general then, how much do you know about cerebral palsy as a condition?
Well, I know that cerebral palsy can affect different people in different ways. So it's some can still walk, but will need a bit of help, while others will require a wheelchair.
The only things I know was from this YouTube channel, and their kid has it.
My thoughts about you from level 2 to level 3 have changed in the way that I am very surprised about the person you are, the person you've become. You're so professional, you're so willing, not because you weren't before, it's because you have evolved so much, you have developed so much, you came out of that shell you probably were last year, and now you are this highly independent individual, very creative, very willing, still eager to learn, still eager to devour knowledge and devour the world in the best sense possible. So they have changed in the sense that they have just gotten even better. Before knowing you, my knowledge on cerebral palsy was very limited. I only knew it was a condition, a medical condition, and that was it. My knowledge did not expand. I had not much information about it. I had no personal experience with it. I have no one around me with cerebral palsy. And when you came into my life, I realized, oh my goodness, I need to be informed. I need to be prepared in the sense that I don't know how to help. I don't know anything. If there's anything I could do, I didn't know what it would be. And I really thought that, okay, now is my time. I need to be informed. I need to do something about this. And in the sense that I need to be accommodating. I need to be the best teacher I can be for you. And my knowledge was very limited before, and now it still is not as ample as it perhaps should be, but I'm discovering this world through you, through your eyes, through the conversations with you. But I do believe that if I had those questions, if I had the limited knowledge, perhaps other people might too. And so I'm very grateful for letting me be within your world.
And would you say that it's knowing me, you want to know more, you want to learn more about the disability itself?
Since I've known you, my knowledge has improved a little bit, not overly, but knowing you has definitely made me feel that I should know more, I want to know more, and discovering the world from your point of view, and maybe there are some things we can do, maybe we can make some changes, maybe improvements in that way, and I do want to know more, for sure. I need to know more about cerebral palsy.
Thank you, River. This has been a very good interview.
Thank you, Lauren.
How have you coped with it? Because I imagine it's not been easy on you.
I struggled with it at first, seeing my mum like that. But my mum was so worried about me and how I'd coped with it. I didn't really want to worry her with that. That was the one thing I think we were both trying to hold our feelings to each other, because we didn't really want to make out how the other one was feeling. Because the toes got amputated first, and then later on it was her foot. I think I had the worst reaction to the toes. That day was absolutely horrific because it was during lockdown. I couldn't see her, I couldn't support her, I couldn't be in the hospital with her. I think that's what I struggled with more than the actual becoming disabled. Like, yeah, I do have to help her sometimes. Like, I do have to be wary of going to the theatre, like she can't climb too many steps, or when we do have like days out, we love going out with each other and spending time with each other, like every mother and daughter do. But we do have to be wary of the activity, how long she's on her feet for, rest stops, and that's something we did have to factor in before. So that was probably the biggest struggle that I had.
And how much would you say has changed since her disability?
She's still a stubborn old woman. She still likes to do stuff for herself, and I still try to help with that. Like, sometimes to the outside world, I may look a bit horrible or a bit cruel when my mum wants to do stuff for herself and I'm not helping her. But I know it's because she wants to try. She wants to attempt at doing it. She doesn't know if she can do it if it isn't. We've recently moved flats, and obviously she couldn't really do a lot with the moving. It was all me, and that was something that was very different from when we've previously moved. Like the last time we moved, I wasn't even at home. She was the one that did it. But apart from that, I think nothing. She needs more rest. That's the only thing that really has changed.
And you mentioned how you have to be careful when booking theatres and things like that. Would you say you've noticed how underfunded these sort of things are for people that need extra accessibility?
Yeah, luckily my mum doesn't need that much extra accessibility. It's more the reduction of stairs, or like better seats. Like, luckily we've only been to the theatre a couple of times, but they have always been very accommodating. The Mayflower particularly are really good, but they've got their whole section for the disabled people. It's always the older theatres that struggle. We went to the Theatre Royal Drury Lane, but they've just had a massive refurbishment, and they have done well to cater towards disabled people. Like, there's a whole bay of seats that are dedicated to them, and they don't actually release those seats from disabled people until the day of the show, and that's just in case obviously someone wants to book an accessible seat. But I think the best way that I've kind of approached it is calling the box office, calling the customer services of the theatre to ask for recommendations of what I should do. Some of them have been really accommodating, some of them haven't got back to me, so it really just depends.
Is that the same for like cinema and things like that?
Cinema is a little bit different. Like, I've booked the seats myself. We recently saw the Downton Abbey movie, and it just meant like sitting nearer the front, like the first couple of steps up to the first row of seats. It wasn't like I like to be a bit further back, but I didn't really mind sitting that close. It was just obviously because where it's dark and my mum's unstable on her feet, going up a whole load of stairs is not beneficial to her.
Would you say that because you're fairly new to having to book like tickets for theatres and cinemas and that for someone who needs like the extra help or can't walk as far. Would you say you've noticed that there could be a lot more done? Do you think?
Oh God, yeah, there should always be more done. To get to a lot of shows, it's really difficult to, like, if you don't drive, which my mum doesn't, and if, God forbid, anything worse happened, like, transport links are very difficult. Like, some of these theatres are in the heart of the West End. You have to go by tube or by bus, or you have to fork out loads of money on a black cab. Like, that's probably the worst. And I feel fortunate enough that obviously we're in a situation where, yes, she's disabled, but she's not as limited as other people who enjoy the theatre are. I read a tweet train literally just yesterday that was about a boy who wants to go see Back to the Future, who has very advanced cerebral palsy, and he can't go and see the original production because of the loud noises and the loud special effects and the heightened lighting. He would react badly to that, and they have no relaxed performances.
How else would you say the accessibility needs to be changed then? You've mentioned how, like, obviously you don't have to have a lot of extra accessibility, but for people in the cases like that little boy where he can't go and see something because of something he can't control, how do you think it can be changed?
One, there should be more relaxed performances. There should be ones that are aimed towards people who have accessibility issues, who have autism, who have sensory problems. There should be more of those performances. Theatre should be for everyone, not for the minority. And I think it should be also more easier to find information about the accessibility. You shouldn't be just arriving on the day and then be told, oh, we can't do this, we can't accommodate you.
And in terms of like cinema and that, would you say that stuff needs to be like done more in terms of accessibility? Because I know with the one in Southampton, I think it is, the disabled like seats are right at the front. So like if you haven't got the mobility to like extend up your neck, you can't really watch the film because you're just looking at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I went to the cinema with Daniela a couple of times at university, and it is hard because when we went to go see Avengers Endgame, we saw a midnight showing of it. However, the cinema that we went to see it in didn't have any accessible screens. So we had to struggle down with her chair because we wanted to see it. Obviously, we didn't want to like wait an extra few hours to go and see it in the day. We wanted to see the midnight showing. We had to struggle down with her wheelchair because there was no accessibility in the cinema that we went to, and then she had to walk on her crutches to her seat. But that shouldn't be a problem. It should have just been, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. We've got a lift, we'll send you down. Like, and that's what frustrated us the most. And yes, there should be like better seats or an easier way to get up to the seats that offer you a better view. It shouldn't be a compromise, yeah, because you have accessibility issues. You can sit off to the side, right in front of the screen where you have to strain your neck for 2+ hours.
And I know on like certain cases as well, there's like been cases where they're like, oh, we've got a lift, so they like automatically, because they've got a lift, they think they're accessible, where like there could be a lot more like done.
Yeah, people do assume, oh, just because they've got a lift, they are accessible. That isn't the only thing that makes a place accessible. It's making sure that, not obviously that accessibility is a priority, like all of the customers are a priority, but it's taking that extra step towards making sure that they are okay, they can reach their screen, they've got enough, they want to go to the snack stand, that type of thing.
Thank you, Sophie. Today I'm interviewing Faith Martin, who's a journalist currently working as a trainee for Voice magazine. She specialises in music and disability. She has written for several external publications in her freelance career, and they include Metro UK, Gigwise, HuffPost UK, the Odell magazine, etc. Let's take a look at some of her work.
Hi, I'm Faith from Voice Mag, and today I'm joined by Ellis Palmer, and we're going to be talking about his industry and disability as well. So, Ellis, thank you for joining me. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Good morning, Faith. Hello, I'm Ellis Palmer. I'm a journalist at BBC World Service and BBC News, and I live with cerebral palsy, meaning I've got bad hand-eye coordination, and I use a wheelchair or hand cycle as my main way of kind of getting around.
Situation, and you went to the concert at the O2. Can you explain from start to finish, like what happened?
Yeah, so part of my job is going to different concerts and reviewing them. And essentially I had booked accommodation that was, suitable for me. And also booked transport to be able to take me to and from the venue. Got to the hotel fine, got changed, got ready. Came to the time of the taxi that I had pre-booked to pick me up, and they decided to just flat out cancel on the spot. And then every other London taxi cab, although they're pre-fitted with ramps, refused to take my chair on that night. So I was essentially left stranded in a hotel in London without any way to actually go and do my job.
Did they give you a reason as to why they didn't pick you up? Or?
No, I did send them an email and they said they would take it further, but then they just never got back to me, and then I resent another email and heard nothing, so they didn't give any kind of explanation at all.
Is this the first time that sort of thing has happened, or?
I think it's probably the first time on that scale, being in a city that I'm not used to and, being left, but it's definitely not the first time that I've faced issues with accessibility being a wheelchair user.
And speaking of accessibility, how would you say it needs to change? Like, considering we're in the 21st century and there's a lot of things that are still wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, so like just recently I was looking at actually booking a holiday, but I need a ceiling hoist to help me transfer from my chair to the bed, etc. And there are very, very, very few ceiling hoists in hotels in this country, let alone anywhere abroad. So if I want to go to Dublin, for example, then I would have to take somebody with me who would then have to do all of my personal care and lift me up out of my wheelchair, which I think for someone who does all their own care, usually at home, that's quite a frightening thing and also just shouldn't happen.
Yeah. How many hotels actually have like ceiling hoists and all the stuff that you would need?
I believe in the UK it's 20, but it could actually be less now because some hotels have actually taken their ceiling hoists out because they say that they're not used enough.
And who was it? How did you find out about them taking out the ceiling hoist? Did you just read about it somewhere?
Yeah, so there's a website called Ceiling Hoist Users Club that put all of the hotels and accommodation with ceiling hoists on the website, and I picked a few out and emailed these places just to check and make sure, and a lot of them came back and said no, we don't actually have that anymore.
which is quite shocking considering the amount of people that probably need it.
Exactly, yeah.
The other weekend, I went to a Little Mix concert at the O2, and the accessibility was really good, as I had one of the boxes that you can get at, so you can get to it fairly easy, and the people in the box moved a chair out of the way so that I could sit with my family comfortably. However, there was miscommunication with the O2 and the people within the boxes, as they didn't know until I turned up that I was in my wheelchair, so I wasn't able to sit there straight away, as I had to wait for them to move the chair. But other than that, the accessibility was great.
So I'm so sorry, but the video is not.
Now that we've heard from different people about their opinions of me and their own experiences with cerebral palsy, let's look at some facts and statistics to do with the condition. For all intended, disabled children are living in poverty, and the average cost of bringing up a disabled child are 3 times more than non-disabled children. Parents of disabled children are more likely to divorce than parents with non-disabled children due to the stress and the struggles of bringing them up. Only 32% of families with disabled children feel accepted in their communities. 52% of people with disabled children have experienced discrimination in the workplace. Nearly a quarter of people who need adaptations need adaptations in their accommodation don't have it. More than half of disabled people have been victims of crime. 15% who believe it was directly because of their impairments. 1 in 3 disabled people have been refused service or turned away from pubs, leisure centres, restaurants, or other public places.
I hope you enjoyed my documentary, and I hope that it has raised awareness on how much needs to be done in the terms of accessibility. I also hope that it has shown that even though there is no cure for cerebral palsy, together we can cure ignorance. Thank you.